What's up, Dragon Brood? We are here with day 7 of Innistrad Crimson Vow previews, and still more stuff. Like, I have to say this, I actually used to kind of like when the preview season was like 2 weeks, but at the same time, I kind of also like it being a week. It's just there's a lot to absorb within that week's time. So it's a love-hate relationship. I don't think there's a perfect model, but I think 1 week's still better. So this one, and I think we have one more video, and I think that'll be it, and then we'll get into doing deck lists featuring the new cards. Speaking of, if you are a member, you will get to select what deck list and what deck play videos get to appear first here this season. So if you want to have a say in that and get your deck ideas also featured, be sure to join the memberships here on the channel. Other than that, if I could be so kind, go check out my PowrDragn reviews and reacts channel. Link is in the description. There's some fun stuff over there right now and more stuff coming before the end of the weekend. But for now, let's talk about all the new cards that came out today for day 7 of Crimson Vow previews. All right, Winged Portent. Color, I don't know why I said that so proper. Portent. Like colorless blue. Instant. Cleave of 4 blue or 4 green blue, actually. Interesting. Okay. Draw a card for each creature with flying you control for 3 mana. Or if you pay the cleave, it's draw a card for each creature you control. I don't know. It's an instant. That's cool. Maybe there's some mono blue white flyers deck you can play where this is just pay 3, draw 3, something like that, which would be really good. But outside of those instances, I'm not completely sure what we're doing with this. I'm a little confused. Maybe there's something here I don't see yet. Also possible that if you are playing in a Simic ramp deck, then you play this and you're probably going to be drawing 4 or 5 cards off of it at a minimum. So that could be kind of cool. But I don't know. We'll see where this fits in. This one we need to bust out the translator on, but Splendid Reclamation. It's 3 colorless and a green sorcery. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. Whoa. I mean, in the right scenarios, this could be very powerful, right? If you're milling a bunch of stuff into your yard, maybe if you've, drew a bunch, discard a bunch, that sort of thing. I don't know. This is one that, like, probably deserves to be a rare. Don't know if it has a huge impact in standard, but when it does do what it wants to do, it's going to do very big things. Also, if we're talking about, like, the lands legacy deck, this is actually pretty cool too. If you've sacrificed a bunch of lands to destroy their stuff or whatever, tutor cards, all the different things the lands do, being able to get all those back is actually pretty sweet too. So this is actually a pretty interesting card. All right, this is Optimistic Initiate. 1 white for a 1/2 Warlock human. It has training, and you can pay 2 and a white, remove 2 counters from among creatures you control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. This just seems solid. This to me feels like it's going to be somewhat predicated on what the metagame looks like. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a lot of artifacts and enchantments running around, then like this obviously has a much better playability factor to it. But if it's not, this, I don't even know if this is the best 1 mana thing we want to be playing. I mean, it does have training, which is kind of nice, but beyond that, I don't really. I don't know. I'm going to need to really put some more thought into this one. Donhart Disciple. Colorless and a green for a 2/2. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, Donhart Disciple gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Mostly just wanted to bring this one up as a common that's useful in a couple different builds. It's in a human, so it obviously goes into human decks. It goes into +1/+1 decks. It's a simple card, but probably fits in a few spots. Cemetery Desecrator. 4 colorless. Black for a zombie. 4/4 with menace. When it enters the battlefield or dies, exile another card from a graveyard. But that's cool, it's not just your graveyard. When you do, choose 1. Remove X counters from target permanent, where X is the mana value of the exile card. Or, target creature an opponent controls gets -X till end of turn, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Let's see, when it enters the battlefield or dies. This feels both like... Like this actually, if you have a way to recur cards, like this could be like this in the dollhouse could be pretty cool, right? Like you put this back into play, you end up killing something or whatever, then it dies and you get to do it again. So this is the type of card that the Dollhouse could be looking for, right? This could be kind of neat with that. But as just a top end card in a zombie deck, I'm not sure this is really what you're looking for. Like, it's not bad. It's a 4/4. You're probably going to have some way to give it bonuses or something. You'll likely get to kill off a creature, which is pretty nice. So I don't hate it. I'm just not in love with it, except for in like contrived tricky situations. Aerith, Tormented Prophet, colorless, blue-red, 2/4, human wizard, legendary. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards. This is interesting because it's a wizard, right? And, you know, wizard decks don't really have a lot going for them right now. But if I can remove 2 cards, anytime you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. If this is for each card I would draw, this is actually both good and bad, because if you reveal, let's say, 4 cards, if you were to draw 2, the odds of you being able to play more than 2 is pretty low. However, you do get your choice of the top 4, and that's pretty good. But anytime it's draw 1, you get to look at 2. That seems a lot stronger as well. So this is a type of card that could get played somewhere. I don't know where. Again, it's a human, it's a wizard. It fits into a few different spots there. But I do like that I've seen a few wizard cards, so at least plant the seed that we can try to do something more with the wizard deck. I don't know if we actually will. I think the other aggro or mid-rangey decks are just going to be more powerful, but I at least like the idea that stuff like this exists to at least give us the chance if we decide to go down that road. This is Dream Chain Spirit, colorless blue, 3/1, spirit, flying. At the beginning of combat, choose 1. Tap target creature. Target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untaps it. This is good. We were looking for cards that can make spirits kind of pop off a little bit. This is something I can get after. It's a 3/1 flyer for 3. It taps a creature every turn or keeps a thing from untapping each turn. Like, so you can lock down your opponent's best creature or best blocker. Like, this is good. If spirits is a thing, this card is very good. Alright, this is Hiveheart Shaman, 3 colorless and a green for a 3/5, big body. Human Shaman, whenever Hiveheart Shaman attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card that does not share a land type with any land you control and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Pay 5 and tap, or 5 and a green. Create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Put a X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, this is interesting. It only triggers when it attacks, so it's not when it comes into play or attacks. It's a 3/5, which is a good body. The ability's just so-so. I mean, it's basically domain from the old cards. Like, you get a benefit for each basic land type you control. I mean, paying 6 to make like a, let's call it a 4/4 or 5/5. It's all right. Yeah, I'm a little. I'm not gonna say I'm mad, but I might be a little sad that this card's a rare. All right, we have Katilda, Donhart Martyr, 1 colorless, white, legendary creature, spirit warlock, flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. Lots of words for 3 mana. Katilda, Donhart Martyr's power and toughness are each equal to the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. Disturbed is 3 white, enchants a creature, basically turns it into Katilda, flying, lifelink, protection from vampires. It gets +X, Rex number of permanents you control that are spirits or enchantments. Yeah, again, I think if spirits is a real deck, like, this is a card that'll be just fine. I mean, this is going to be, I'm assuming, at least a 3/3, 4/4 a lot of the times it's on the field. It is gaining you life. It flies. If vampires is a thing, this card's very good because they can't kill it easily. If it dies, you just play it from the yard to make something else a big lifelinking thing because it gets XX on top of its normal size. So that's also very good. You know, it's possible this card even gets played in a thing that has some spirits, but not necessarily a spirit-only deck as well. But I do think this card overall is actually pretty playable, again, mostly if spirits is a real deck. Child of the Pack, 2 colorless, red-green, 2/5, human werewolf. Pay 2 a red, and a green, create a 2/2 green werewolf creature token. And it's day bound, night bound on the other side. It becomes a 5/5 trampler. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. This is interesting. Conceptually, it's kind of cool. It's like a kid that grew up with the werewolves and happens to be a werewolf, I guess, is what they're trying to depict. Worst case scenario, you get to make creatures with it late, which I kind of like, right? If this is one of those things you top deck on turn 8, 9, 10 and the game's going long, maybe you make a couple of creatures. And if you choose not to do anything, well, you make a creature or two, and then it flips the next turn, and then all your stuff is +1/+0. So you have a bunch of 3/2s. So that's not bad. I think, again, though, it comes back to the thing we've mentioned in a couple of videos now. At 3 mana and 4 mana, where does this live in the kind of like overall scheme of things for the werewolf deck, right? I think each of these different theme decks have so many things in the 3 and the 4 slot. It's going to be really hard finding room for all of this. All right, we have an Oakshade Stalker. 2 colorless and a green. Human Ranger Werewolf. You may cast this as though it had flash if you paid 2 more, so you could pay up to 5. On the front side, it's a 3/3. On the back side, it's a 6/3. Daybound, nightbound. The thing I like about this, and I don't think it necessarily finds main deck space, but what I find interesting about it is if you were to sideboard this in an environment that's maybe full of control decks or whatever, if you play this during somebody's end step, they kind of are forced to react, because if not, you get a 6/3 the next turn, which is kind of cool. But realistically, I don't think this is going to be a werewolf that gets played when, again, we have so many other things we can play in the 3 mana slot, even some with haste. And it looks like we're going to end today on a mythic. Faithbound Judge. Colorless, white, 4/4, Defender, Flying, Vigilance. Well, I don't like that it has Defender. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer judgment counters on it, put a judgment counter on it. As long as Faithbound Judge has 3 or more judgment counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Okay. So I see what we're doing there. Like it can't attack or do anything unless you have the 3rd counter on it. Alright. Fair enough. And then it has Disturbed, 5 white. And then when it comes back, it's a curse that enchants a player. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a judgment counter on Center's Judgment. Then if there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, enchanter player loses the game. Ugh. If Center Judgment be put anywhere from... Wow. So there's a lot of setup to this card. However, you could also end up discarding it in combinations with blood tokens or whatever else. This may not even go into a spirit deck, y'all. This might just be, hey, find a way to get it into your graveyard. I mean, there's self-mill decks and other things we'll be playing. This might just be find a way to get it into your graveyard and then give that to your opponent. Interesting. I don't know if it becomes a real part of the metagame or not, but it is going to be one of those things that adds some tension to the game once it's in play, because you only have a couple turns until you lose. So kind of a neat card. Again, I don't know if it really has a home, but I do at least appreciate the design around this one. Okay, that's going to wrap up all the big or important cards from day 7 in Innistrad Crimson Vow previews. I assume we only have one more day, and then we'll start talking about decks. And again, like I pointed out at the beginning of the video, if you would like to pick what we're going to showcase first as we open the new season, or have your decks featured, be sure to join our memberships down below, because we'll be sending out the messages through there. Also, if you just like to join some of our other stuff to talk about some of these cards or get deck help, check out my streams and the Discord. Those are linked down below as well as my new channel. You can go over and check it out, PowrDragn Reviews and Reacts. There's some fun stuff there. But boy, that's a lot. Tons of cards in this set that look good. One more day. Be sure to check out the other preview videos as well. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.